I came across ChatGPT like a day ago and I was completely blown away. You know, this is next level in artificial intelligence, and I have been playing with it for a couple of hours, and this is just crazy. I'm telling you this. I mean, there's a lot of concern in the tech world if this is going to take a job away from, you know, from developers. And having played with it for a couple of hours, I can say probably in the future, I mean, it might threaten some jobs. I mean, this could result in a significant reduction in workforce, but will not completely, you know, eradicate the need for developers, but may reduce the number of developers hired, because a lot of times when developers are hired in large numbers, it's because they need people, they need a lot more hands to do the work faster, you know. And with the availability of an AI like this, if a company needed like 10 developers, they might downscale to 5, because 5 developers with the help of this AI might be able to do the job just as quick as 10 developers. So, but I'm going to quickly point out that whatever be the case, you're still going to need developers, you know, to be able to use this tool. A non-developer, a non-coder will not be able to use this tool to write code and understand, because you have to look at the code and see if it is doing exactly what you ask it to do, and then make modifications, ask it to tweak it, just like you're going to see in this tutorial. So I've gone ahead to create a header template which is blank. So what I'm going to do is just to add my normal section, because I really don't need the AI to tell me what to do. So I'm just going to add that, and I'm going to add my logo, and that logo, I think I'm just going to select any image. So that's going to be my logo, and I want to have a hamburger menu here. I'm not going to use a real hamburger menu, so I'm just going to use a div and just style it as black. So I really don't want to style, you know, do a lot of styling to the hamburger, okay? But then we're going to see if the AI is going to be able to help us to do that. But for now, I'm just going to add a div, and that div is going to be my hamburger. All right, I'm not going to give it any class for now, but I'm just going to style the header to stack horizontally and space between, so I can have that hamburger there. I will give it a color, you know, of just like that. So I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and let's see what we can do. So what we want to do is to create a full screen navigation that is completely accessible, and it's going to be, you know, keyboard accessible with, you know, all the right area attributes. And we want this AI ChatGPT to help us to do that. So I'm going to start by saying create a full screen navigation with the following specifications. All right, so we have this. So this is kind of like a guide. In a lot of cases, it might not do everything at once. So it is important for you to have all this set up so that you can go back to tell it, oh, you didn't do this one, you didn't do that one. So let's just see what is going to happen here. I'm going to just say enter. Let's see. All right. Yep. Here's an example with a specified requirement. Okay, the nav is position fixed. It starts out by styling by writing the CSS. Okay, it's not giving us the HTML structure yet. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's the HTML. Okay, button that is not accessible. Okay, setting the tab index so that it's not gonna be yep, array attributes for the script. Yep. Okay. Okay, so let's go through what it did here. It went ahead to, yep, it used translate 200 pixel for it, and yep, translate X. Okay, so we wanted to slide in vertically. Okay, we wanted to slide in vertically, and the button has a class. It doesn't have any array attributes. Okay, so I'm going to tell it to refactor the code with the following. So you just want to remind it again. So I want it to be, let me use commas this time. And I didn't see anything about escape key. Okay, let's take it one by one. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say let the navigation have a parent container, because I don't want to be working, translating the nav element. I want it to be inside a parent container. What you do, I think the best from here, you want to refine what you mean. So I'm just going to use nav because it's already given it a class of nav. So let's just do that. And okay, so it said we can wrap it in a parent container like a div. So here's an update. So now you can see that the nav container is what has that position fixed. Okay, but it's still translating it in the X direction. That is, I want it to translate on the Y direction. So this is the process. So we want to keep refining that code. And so right now we're focusing on refining the but it's still just going to correct that and give us, you can see here that we have this nav container and blah 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 function hide the navigation. Okay, so sometimes it happens like this, runs out of memory and then just stops. Okay, and so what I'm going to do, because I was focusing on this aspect, so I'm just going to tell it to two things. The button should have array attributes. Button should be, compliant. Then this nav container, now we want the nav container to slide in and out vertically. Okay, so you can see it's changing that to translate Y, which is going to make it slide in and out vertically. Okay, so you see the button is still not it's still not, because it doesn't have any area attributes. Okay, because I'm not going to be looking at the JavaScript right now, so all I need to do is to make sure that all right, so now the button, so I'm just going to just say toggle nav should have area attributes for accessibility, or I could just say make it accessible for screen readers. Good. It says to make navigation accessible, we need to add proper array attribute to the elements. Here's an updated version. So now it's updating that. So we're going to see when you start writing the HTML, we're going to see if it's going to add the proper array attribute. I expect it to add area controls to the button and area expanded to the button. Oh, great. So you have the area label. We have the toggle navigation. Okay, but there's no area expanded. Row navigation, area label, mail navigation. Yep. Okay, so it's even changing up the the JavaScript. Okay, so I'm just gonna say you forgot area control for the button. So let's see what it's gonna say. You are correct. I forgot to add area control attribute to the button. This, in this case, it controls the nav element. So that is wrong because it assumes that it should control the nav element, but normally it's controlling the nav element container, which is, so you can have a conversation with it. Sometimes it can argue with you and tell you no, that it is correct, but in this case it says you are correct, that it forgot to add the area controls to the toggle button, and this attribute should be set to the ID of the element that the button controls, in this case the nav element, which I do not agree. Now, because the button actually controls the nav container and not the nav element, so it's setting the area controls to the main nav. So you see the ID here. So it's not finished writing this. I guess memory issue. The so what it's saying, the toggle button actually controls the what does it control? The nav container. Okay, the nav controller, not the nav. Please check again. So it says you are correct. The toggle button should control the nav container element rather than nav element. Here's an updated. So so like what you're seeing here is the fact that you still need to know how to write the code, you know. Now, normally, if I were working on my own, I would really not, you know, give it all these further instructions for simple CSS and array attributes, because I already know I'm just going to add it by myself, you know, just make the adjustment. But the idea here is that you see that you still need to have an understanding of what is going on. Okay, so you can see now the area controls now controls the navigation container, the role and all that. So it's set area expanded to that. Okay, yeah, it's setting the attribute area expanded to false. Yep. Okay, so good. This is not closed, but yeah, like I said, sometimes memory issues. I could just say the JS isn't complete, and then it could just go ahead. It could just go ahead and write it again if the memory. But it just starts all from the beginning. Maybe I should have told it to just update only the JavaScript. Okay. All right. So, but now, while it is writing that, I'm going to go into. So this has now this has enough of what we need to start. We're going to use the block, okay, inside, or we could use a div because let's see. Yeah, it's position fixed, so we can use a div. So first, we're going to create that div. And we're going to use the CSS that it's given us. We want to see the design because it's giving us, you know, designs and all that. So I'm going to go back to bricks. And now inside this, I want everything to still be inside the header. Okay. So inside the section, we don't want to put it in the container. We want to put it in the section. I'm going to add a div. And or we could use a block, anyone, but a block gives us full width naturally. And what is that class? So the class is nav container. Okay, I'm gonna give it a class of nav container. Oops, let's edit that. All right, so I'm gonna give it a class of nav container, and the CSS for that, I have two options. I could just copy that CSS and put it inside a style sheet, but Bricks doesn't have a style sheet. And so another option is to use a code editor like you know, Script Organizer or WP Codebox, but I don't want to be going in between right now. So what I'm going to do is to just put that CSS in the element itself. So let's just copy the whole of this style. Okay, I'm going to use a code block instead. So I'm going to copy that and go back to Bricks, and it's just going to drop or let's go to the settings, page settings, and the custom code, custom CSS. I'm going to just paste it here, but I need to remove the style tag. Okay. All right. The nav container, I think I'm just going to add a background color to it. So I'm just going to say background gray. Okay, so it's hidden for now because by default it is hidden. All right, so we don't want it to be hidden. So I'm just going to take this out. Okay, so you can see that. And now I'm going to just write now this is to make sure that it is hidden, actually hidden, but not in the builder. So I'm going to save it. So you can see it's hidden actually, you know, but in the builder we can see it, and that is the whole idea. We can see it in the builder. Then another thing I want to happen in the builder is that I want it to have a z index lower than the, you know, the other items. I'm just gonna go in here And because we want to be able to work with it, and also, so I'm just going to give it a z index of 0. No, we need it to be in the builder. So let's copy this. Now this is everything that has to do with builder, okay? So I'm just gonna say that, remove that, z index -1. All right. So now this is only builder mode, okay? Outside here is still supposed to be under also, but let's just leave it like that for now. The nav is position absolute, and it doesn't really need to be. So that is because it initially wanted it to be position absolute. So let's go back, and I'm not, if I tell it, okay, it's gonna correct it. But since I already know, I should probably, let's just tell it. So so I'm just gonna go here and just say, okay, what's that? You have to call the class. The nav shouldn't be positioned absolute because it's already inside a fixed parent. So he said you're correct. There's no need to say the position property of the nav absolute because it's already inside a fixed container, and it's just going to update that that code. So so the whole of that position absolute has been removed. So let me just go ahead and take it off. So yeah, still writing that code. So now let's go ahead and do this. So we're gonna put a button. So the class is gonna be toggle nav. Okay. So that button, this is the button. So I'm just gonna call it button, toggle button. And the class is gonna be what was it? Was it toggle nav? Now this so it's called toggle nav, and then the area label will be toggle navigation. Then this area control will be main navigation container. All right, but it doesn't have an ID here. So I'm gonna take this. So I'm gonna just give it a class of toggle nav, and then I'm gonna go into attributes and give it an toggle navigation, and then let's go back there, and area control of main navigation container. This is supposed to be the ID of the container, but it doesn't. So if I tell it, it's going to correct it, but I'm not going to tell it because I already know. So let's not waste time. Let's deal with the aspect that the AI is really supposed to do. So I'm going to add area controls. Let's just space the value first. Area controls. So it shows that it controls that main navigation, and the main navigation, this nav container should have an ID of main navigation container. So I'm just gonna click to edit, rename the ID, and I'm gonna call it the main nav container. That's the ID. So yep, so we're done with that button container. Then we want to put the navigation, which will be our menu. Okay, so we want to put any WordPress menu. Okay, so let's go back there. So inside here, I'm gonna drop a menu. And this, I want everything here to be like that, centered. Okay, so let it center it like that. And this, there is no menu here. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a menu off screen and then come back. Of course, this styling is coming from the AI styling of the nav. Okay, so I want this to be like that, and let's just leave that for now. And let's forget about the beauty and all that. You know, we're gonna fix that styling, but we are more concerned about the functionality. So now the toggle button has yeah, let's go back there, and yep, the toggle button, everything, we got it. Then so the navigation should have a role of navigation. We're going to leave this because we believe that WordPress should be able to handle this aspect. We're just going to give it all right, so we're going to go straight into the JavaScript. Continue. Just going to tell it to continue because it's not complete, so I'm just going to tell it to continue. Okay, so we need to add event listener to toggle the button and menu and hide the navigation when I click. Also, we need to add event listener escape key to close when it's open. Here is the updated code. So let's see. So the script is not complete. All right. So I'm just going to tell it update only JavaScript. All right, so maybe because it's writing all that CSS and all that, so I just wanted to update just the JavaScript. So really, I think it's just a problem with the memory, or demand a server load, because a lot of people are using this. Sometimes it can, it could really affect the performance. But let's see how this goes since it's only doing the JavaScript. All right. Okay, cool. That is it. So that's what happens when it's complete. So it hides the nav, but it's not returning. Okay, update the JavaScript. So we're gonna copy this. Okay, first let's copy this JavaScript. I'm not sure we need the script tag, but let's just go with that. Okay, there is a copy code here, and we're gonna go in and add it. So what we're gonna do is to go to the page settings, and then we're gonna add it in the footer. Okay. All right. So if I click here, nothing happens. So let's check the console for error. So identifier toggle nav has already been declared. What I'm going to do is this. To give it. No, if I can tell it to rename all the toggle nav elements, but I can do that. I can just add two. Okay, two. Okay, let's see if that's the problem. Okay, this is not working. So what element is this? This is the toggle nav. This should be a button actually. So I don't know why it's not working, but let's just quickly go and correct that to a button. Just write button. Okay, save. So let's see if it is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay. So we have the main container. When we click, it doesn't add any class. So let's look at the code. What is the code doing? Oh, document.body.classList. Oh, so it's adding it to the body. Oh, it is. It's adding show nav to the body. So what is going on here? Something is overriding our main containers, because we see here show nav. Okay, the body has show nav, and this. Oh, this is really, it's really ruining things. Yep, I need to update this with, something similar. So I'll just go back there, and so you see this has a really high specificity. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do like this. Sorry, I need to do that. Yep, I need to do that and refresh. All right, so it's working, okay, but it's covering that stuff. So let's refresh again, and I want to change the color of this toggle button. Okay, did I give it a color? Yeah, I gave it a background. So let me just give it a background of something like that. Refresh that. So yeah, it covers it. It's supposed to be at the top. So this should have a higher Z index. Okay, so I'm gonna go into layout, Z index 999. Okay, so but now we need it to be above the other items. So let's go back to that CSS, and we need the nav container to have a Z index. Let's make it 500 at least, so that it's gonna be above other items on the page, but not above the header. So you see it's above other items. So now let's check, is this keyboard accessible? So I'm gonna hit tab. So nothing. So but then I don't have a, you know, and the idea was if we click on any menu item, it should close, and that worked. It closed. Good. Then if we press the escape key, good, it should work. Nice. Now if I enter here, let's see. So where is the focus? Focus here, focus. So we don't have focus states, but this menu is working. Okay, so what I'm gonna go in there to do is this: add focus state to all focusable elements. Update CSS only. So it's writing the same CSS. Let's see if it's gonna add the focus state. Yep. What? It says outline none. It's not. Toggle focus. Yep. Okay, it used the box shadow. Wow, that is brilliant. It did not use the outline property. Whoa. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to update that code. So from the toggle button down here. Okay, let's see the previous code. So I'm not going to touch this part. I'm just going to, because I already did something there. Style toggle button. Then this show navigation, I've already done that. So let's see. Oh yeah, so you can see that blue stuff there. I click here. All right, before we didn't have that. See, if I escape now and I tap, what I want is when I escape, when I come in here and I escape, now I want to be sure of what I'm tapping here. So I'm going to go back to my menu, and then I'm just going to say about service. So I'm going to save that menu, and then I'm going to refresh the front end because I just want to see. Okay, so you can see here, down here, that is going through that. Now what I want to do, if I escape and I tap, you see it's still inside, and it's not good because, I mean, if I'm here, another thing is if I tap it and tap again, you see it goes in. When we open the menu, okay, when we close the menu, we want the focus to return to this. We want the focus to return to the button. The focus, let refactor the JavaScript to make the focus return to the toggle button when nav container is hidden. The nav container should not be focusable when hidden. When we say escape, okay, the focus has to return to the toggle button. And then we don't want the focus to be, the nav container to be focusable when it is hidden. All right, so you can see that when it is hidden, it's setting a tab index of -1 to the nav item. So what is the nav item? The nav item is the nav. Okay, I think that's cool. Let's see. Okay, nav container.blur. Toggle nav was a problem. We had to add 22. Please replace the variable name toggle nav with toggle nav 2. All right, so it's going to just replace everything. Yep. So what it does here is that it's setting the tab index to -1 to the nav. I would rather it set it to the nav container, but it's still the same thing. I mean, once you toggle in, you can't toggle into the nav, so still good. All right. All right. Okay, so we have that. Let me just copy the code and go back, and I will just replace this entire code and save it. And let's refresh and see. So now if I tap escape to main, that is the logo. Now if I tap again, it still goes in. So the hide nav. So what is supposed to happen here is that it's supposed to have set a tab index of -1 to the navigation, okay, which this is okay. It's giving it a tab index of -1, but I'm still able to go in. So why? So I don't know what the problem is here, because actually it's doing the right thing. It's actually doing the right thing here, and it's setting the tab index, to -1. If I click this closes. If I tap enter, it opens. Tap in, press escape, it closes, and then the focus returns here. You can see that, that's cool. So it did that. If I press escape, the focus returns here, but normally I should be able to tap and continue tabbing through the rest of the page, but instead I keep going back here, and it seems that the tab index of -1 is not taking effect. It's not affecting it, because when I close, you see a tab index of -1, so I shouldn't be able to tap in. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask it, when the menu is when the navigate container is hidden, I can still tap through the menu items. This should not be so. Can you refactor the JavaScript so that the menu items are not keyboard focusable when the nav container is hidden. You know, the biggest challenge here is being able to write it in a way that it will understand, trying to use the correct things. So just to prevent keyboard focus in a minute, we can use set attribute method tab index blah blah negative hidden. This prevents the menu items from receiving focus when the user taps through the page. Here's an updated version. So let's see if it is going to be able to do that. Yeah, it already did that. It says the tab attribute of the nav elements to -1. Yeah, but that is what it did before. That's exactly what it did before. And yeah, that is actually correct. So I'm just gonna copy that in case there's any minor changes there. Okay. Nothing really. So I'm just gonna save that and then refresh here, because now you can see that the nav has a tab index of -1, but I'm still able to tap through it, which is a problem. I shouldn't be able to. I shouldn't be able to tap through it. So I'm gonna say, why does the nav items receive keyboard focus when the tab index attribute is -1? Okay, it's updating the code further. All right, so yeah, it got tired there, but we already have this part. So I'm going to take this all the way up, okay, from here all the way down to here, because what it did here was that to hide the function, it gave it a blur. But it's still giving it a blur still doesn't really help, because I mean, when you tab in again, if it's going to receive focus, because this should work, tab index -1 should have worked. So I'm just gonna paste that code. I think this is where we copied from. So here, okay. All right, so that updated the code a little bit, and I'm not sure that's gonna work because the first one is supposed to work. So I'm gonna just tap there. And then we're still in, even though it's set to blur. You can see that okay, so I'm going to tell it to set this the UL okay, not to receive focus. The nav items are still focusable when the nav container is hidden. What could be the reason? We already have all this. It's not completed. The code is not completed like as usual. It gets, it runs out of memory sometimes because that code is not complete. I'm just going to take from here all the way down to here. So function to hide. So that is from here all the way to function to hide. Okay, that. So that adds the UL elements to that stuff. So refresh that. And let's take a look at the UL now has a tab index of -1. Okay, so if I tap this, all right, so yeah, this is not working for some reason. It's still receiving focus, even with a tab index of -1. All right, so I'm just gonna tell it, look, also remove focus from li, from all the li if the nav container is hidden. So because the idea is to just make sure that this is, you know, solid, you know, completely accessible. So yep, I've not seen the nav items yet. Okay, yep, nav items for reach. Okay, cool. That's cool. So it did that right here. Item.blur. Yeah, but it should also set attribute, but let's see if this is going to work. So I'm just gonna copy this code, the whole of this, paste it, save it, refresh, and it's still receiving focus. Honestly, I'm not sure why this is happening. This is just crazy. I mean, we did the work. See, it's still receiving, even when they hold up a tab index of -1. This shouldn't happen. Anyway, let's leave that. The next thing I want to do is when I tap outside, okay, when it loses focus, I want the button to close. I want the menu to close when it loses focus. Let the nav container be hidden when focus or any of its child elements. All right. No. We don't want that. Oh, when there is focus, I'm supposed to. That's my problem. That's the problem. When there is no focus, no focus. All right, so let's try that again. I'm gonna edit this when there is no focus. Okay. Now. It's writing ACSS. Now. It's writing ACSS. This is not what I wanted to do. So. No. Okay, let me just say when it loses focus. All right. Okay, so this is better. So I think it all boils down to how you're able to tell it what to do and if it understands what you're saying. So the idea is to, let's go back there. The idea is to, when we activate this and we tap through it, okay, once the focus is out, the menu should close. Okay, it just should close. There's really no reason because you keep tabbing, but the menu is still open. So the idea is once it loses focus, it should close. All right, let's go back there. Okay, so so I'm going to copy from here. I can't see, I don't know what it did there. Let's see. What did it say? It was going to use focus out. I don't think the code is complete here. Let's try again. Try that again. So it thinks that we did the wrong thing at first. So it's trying a different method. It's not using the same method before, but the problem was just that it didn't complete the code. But so when you tell it to try again, it tries a different method. So, but let's just see if, so it's going to call the, height knife. So it's using the blur event listener, to call the height nav. Let's see. So I'm not seeing the blur, to add a blur event listener. Okay. Continue. Just wanted to continue. Okay, yeah, it's added the event listener blur. Okay. It also added the, the key. So, yep, I'm going to copy that. All right, so let's just replace the whole of that code and save. So what we're going to test now is, will this close when we tap out? So it doesn't close. Try using key up event listener to check if any child element of the nav container loses focus, then hide the nav container if any child element loses focus. That's not what I'm saying now. What he's saying is that is a child. If it can, we can call that. This is not correct. Okay. So if it does not contain the event target, that's new. Will this work? Let's see. I'm gonna copy this. Save. Try it. Open. Tap, 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 tap. Still not working. Escape. Try again. So it's using a different method now. In this way, we've added an event listener nav to element to a list that listens for key up event and checks if the key code of the event and the nav is gone. This will hide the navigation when any of its child. I don't think this is doing it, but let's see. Let's see. I don't think it's doing it. It's not doing it. Save. Refresh. Okay. All right, so it attempts to do that. Okay, it attempts to do that. So, but that is not, what it does is that if it is focused, so that code is not exactly right. Only call the hide nav function if the if any of its child element loses focus. Think if none, it should not be any, none of its child. I think that's the problem here. I kept using any, right? I think that's what I did. I kept using any. It should be if none of its child element. I think that is I think that's what it's been struggling with, perhaps. But let's just see. I wish I could just abort this and then, yep. So let's do that if none of if none of its child element has focus 7. It stopped. Let me just say continue. So when it does that, if you write continue, it's just gonna start again. It's got tired. Boy. All right, the code isn't complete. So I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna just complete that. I'm just gonna copy that and try to close that. Event.keycode27. Nope. So I'm gonna copy it, and I think this is where I'm gonna just insert it. Let's see if I got that right. And it's not. Good. All right, so that's it. All right, so this technically should work. I'm just gonna replace all that and refresh this. Anyway. So it's not working. So the hide nav is not being called. The hide nav is not being called when the document does not contain the active element. So, I mean, this, if the nav container does not contain an active element, it should hide the nav, right? Nav container dot add event listener. No, okay, that's the problem. It should be document. So here should be document. Okay. Should be document. So if we go in here and then we go out, see it closes. Anyway, so I think that's as far as we are going to go here, because yep, that's just how far the AI could take us. It does that, and I mean it works now. Even though I had to modify this to use a document.add event listener, and anyway, this was just, see, that works once the focus leaves. Get there. So what we couldn't do was the problem is that it still returns, because when it calls that function returns the focus back here, because it's supposed to create a separate function, and at least the AI doesn't know that. So some very complex stuff like this, I mean, there's a way you can tweak it, but at the end of the day, if you know what to do, I think it's faster for you to just go in and make the final adjustment instead of depending on the AI to do it for you. Like here, if I come here and then go out, it calls the nav. So the best thing would have been to create a new function for that doesn't return the focus here, and hide nav, hide nav without returning. So it just hides the nav and maybe take back the the focus to the main document. So let me just do this and just say, when the nav container children lose focus, I don't want focus to return to the bottom in this case. So yeah, it still goes ahead to want to modify the hide nav, but that is not what we want. So that is not what we want. Instead of modifying the hide nav function. It should just do another function because we still need that. So I don't want it to return to the toggle button only when the nav container children lose focus. You can add a new function. Good. You can add a new function and call it function and call it, instead of nav function, the active element is not a child. Let's see. And call it instead of the nav. Good. That is it. That's what I was looking for. So you say you can add a new function and call it instead of calling the nav. Yep. So we still have the hide nav function, which still sets the focus. You see, it still sets the focus to the toggle button, but then it needs, yeah, there's a new function to hide the container without setting the focus. Oh my god, this is this is crazy. Yeah, it did it. Oh wow, it did it. Come on, it created a new function without setting. That's cool. So yep, so it created a new yeah, it's not complete because of still the same problem, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this function, and then I'm going to go in there, function to hide. Yep. So I'm going to just paste that here. Okay, this is a function to hide. So that is a function. I'm going to copy that function and then go to here. Okay, if it doesn't have any active element, and then I'm going to call that function here instead. Hide nav container. Yep. So let's save that. All right. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. Whoa, it worked. It doesn't return, but then if I use the escape key, it returns that. So what we have not been able to do so far. So we have been able to open it, tap in. When it's out, it closes, returns the function here. But what we have not been able to do is to stop it from, accessing the, having focus on the children when it is, it's not. And it tries to do that, as you can see that it tries to do it. And I can't tell why this is not working. So anyway, that's as far as I could go. I couldn't get it to focus, to move focus away, irrespective of how much I tried to modify the code. It just didn't give me that result. I'm not sure if it's a problem with the code or if there's just something else I wasn't taking into consideration. So anyway, guys, I would like you to try this out. Let me know, what do you think about this? Do you think this is going to take away jobs from people in the next, say, couple of years? Because this is just the beginning, and it's really impressive. I imagine what it's going to be like in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. What is it going to be like? Let me know your take. This can do anything. I mean, it's not just code. It can do literally anything. Anything. Like anything. Mathematics, English, teaching you of languages. Any question you want to ask it, any question, just ask any question, it's gonna do it. So let me know what you think in the comments below.